Hello and welcome to Against the Storm patch 0.57, the Seal Contracts Update. No, those are not seals on the image. Those are fishmen, but we'll talk about those in a little bit. So in this update, we were expecting, as of 2 weeks ago, to see the new sealed forest. But due to some practical reasons, scheduling-wise, they chose not to release the sealed forest update yet. That will be for sure 2 weeks away on August 31st. And largely that's because they're going to be spending some time at Gamescom. And they didn't want to release an update that could potentially cause some negative effects when they're not going to be available to update and patch, hotfix that update. So they've given us some smaller content this time, but still a lot of changes. So let's go ahead and dive into those. But before we do, there is a new limited edition beaver plushie that is available on Makeship. So you have until September 3rd to order it, and they'll make as many as are ordered. They'll ship those out, and then they'll be gone forever. So if you're interested in a beaver plushie, take a look at the Steam news page for this update, and click to go through to the Makeship page and order there. And as I mentioned, they're also at Gamescom this weekend. So if you are, or next week, if you are interested in meeting them and you're going to Gamescom, take a look. They'll be Hall 10.1. And now on to the patch notes. So it's a smaller update in terms of the impact of the updates, but there's quite a bit of neat stuff here. The first thing is the seal contracts. So far, since they introduced the seal system, we have had the seals were generated as the one you last solved, and the next one, and you get 2 of each on the map, and that's all you get. They've changed it now so that you have a little more control over it. So now you can choose up to 3 different kinds of seals, up to and including, I assume, the one after the one you've most recently finished, or the highest one you've finished. But actually, I don't know that. You might be able to pick any of them. Although, be careful picking any of them. If you pick ones beyond where you've solved, then, well, maybe you will have a problem. Because you may not be able to get to them. May not be able to unlock them, that is. But you can pick the seals you want to have available on your map. And this would be good so you can replay some of the lower level seals, or so that you can push yourself to unlock a higher level seal. No matter what, though, when you finish a seal, you end the cycle. So choose however many you want, up to 3 types, and you get 2 of each. So that's 6 seals on the map now instead of 4. And then also, you can see here on the map 3 different seals at the same time. I guess that would be cobalt, silver, and bronze, maybe? Maybe. It's hard to tell. I don't know the little symbols well enough to know. But you can see the 3 different seals here on the map, and of course are 1 more of each of them. But that's not all in this update. You can also trade food stockpiles for artifacts or machinery using a new world event called Roaming Fishman Tribe. There's also 2 more events, which I assume allow you to trade those different items for food stockpiles or the other item. Like one event is for trading out food stockpiles, one event is for trading out artifacts, one event is for trading out machinery. And depending on which one you get, you can choose to trade them or not. My struggle right now is food stockpiles in my playthrough that we're doing on the main series. So I would not want this event. I would want one of the other 2. But this is a great way to help you balance out how much of each resource you have, how much of each citadel resource you have. Beyond that, there's a lot of community-inspired updates and enhancements, features that have been added. The biggest one is that Prestige 15, which I've not gotten anywhere near, no longer has the modifier that prolongs the storm. It used to extend the storm from 2 minutes to 4 minutes. And now that Prestige 15 modifier increases the threshold of resolve that's required to generate reputation after each earned point. So I think you still start out at the same number, like 30 for humans and beavers, but whenever you get above that, then that tick jumps further each time. At least that's the impression that I get, that I'm getting from this. Maybe I'm interpreting it wrong, but that's the way that I'm reading it. However, that doesn't mean the storm will become shorter in Prestige games. Now the storm is 4 minutes long, starting at Viceroy. That's right, the level I've been playing at for many, many towns now has double the length of the storm. On one hand, that's bad, because if we have a town where we're having a hard time not losing anybody, we're going to have that hard time twice as long. And or we're going to have to sacrifice for twice as long. On the other hand, if we're having a good time in the storm, if we're gaining some benefit from being in the storm, for example, then, well, we get twice the benefit then. And one example that they gave was that some things take a number of years to solve or to accomplish. So you got to finish a town before year 7, for example, for a deed. Well, the years are longer now. Instead of 12 minutes, they're 14 minutes long. So you have a little bit more time to play through to make it to the end of the game. But that's one thing I have to remember. Oh wait, are they? It was 5, 5, and 2. Yes. Okay. So they're 14 minutes long now. So I have now to remember a little bit harder that the storm is now 4 minutes long. So those timed orders that are 10 minutes or 12 minutes or whatever, they don't last as many years now. They last a little bit less than a year or about a year. Now maybe the drizzle and the clearance are only 4 minutes. They are only 4 minutes, I think. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The storm is twice as long. That's the important part. Okay. So so that's going to be a bit of a challenge to get used to on Veteran, or on Viceroy rather. But I think it's a good idea, because Veteran and Viceroy really didn't have that much difference, except that Viceroy got more negative modifiers. So I think it works out. It works out fine. One huge QOL feature they just added is a custom item category. So items that you commonly want to keep an eye on at the same time, you no longer have to toggle back and forth between the different category buttons. You can now set a custom category, and you do this at the main warehouse by just simply clicking on the items you want in that custom category. And as long as they have the little green checkbox, or blue, whatever color that is, then they will appear in that custom category there at the far left. That looks like some planks, I think, right now on this screenshot. Now, what happens when you finish that town and start a new one? Those saved items are kept from town to town. So when you go into that custom category, as soon as you have one item, any of those items that are selected from the previous town, that custom category will appear and will have that item in there. Just like the rest of the categories work, how they only appear when you have at least one of those items, or you have had at least one of those items. The items won't appear listed on the warehouse until you have at least one of them, but as soon as they appear in the warehouse, then they will have the check mark automatically if you checked it before. So it's kind of a persistent list of, I track these items, which is, I think, a good idea to implement it rather than having it be an option that you can turn on and off, because I'd say most people have those options turned on anyway when they have those settings defined, and they keep the settings the same regardless of which regardless of which towns they go into. They just keep those settings the same. Recipes, limits, and the woodcutter behavior, things like that. The other two, let's go into a little bit of details here on some of these updates. The other two world map modifiers that you can trade items are called Sadrath the Wise and Brass Order Engineers. So I'm guessing the Brass Order Engineers might sell or might take the machinery and give you the other two. And I'm guessing Sadrath the Wise will take the artifacts and give you one of the other two. But they don't actually say in the patch notes, so we have to encounter one to know. And just so you know, by the way, selecting the seals that you want in the next cycle is on that finalized cycle screen. So if you are, if you're at the end of your game, make sure you check those boxes before you click that end the cycle button on this screen here. Seal progression works the same otherwise, though. Unlocking the gold seal for the first time increases the number of modifier tiles on your world map. It also increases the number of the percentage of negative modifiers on the world map. So by effectively declaring that you have solved Viceroy level, the game is going to step up in difficulty a little bit more by giving you some more options for more difficult maps on the world map, or more difficult settlements on the world map. And that's, I think, a good idea too, because not only have you just proven that you can handle Storm for 4 minutes, but you've proven that you want to take the difficulty to another level. But maybe you don't want to go to Prestige just yet. So going to or having some more difficult world modifiers and having them more often gives you the ability to try a few difficult modifiers before you jump into Prestige, which I think is a fair trade-off, and it's a fair improvement on that sort of difficulty progression throughout the game as you're learning the game. But there are way more modifiers and also world events on the map after you solve the gold seal. The new Prestige 15 modifier, by the way, is called Malcontents. Just so you know that detail. The Fuming Machinery Glade event has been rebalanced to have 2 explosions. The first explosion will destroy resource nodes and trees, and kill villagers in a radius of 5 fields. The second explosion is the one we are familiar with and love. Totally love. There's a huge rebalance on numerous timed orders. I'm not going to list them all, but it's quite extensive. So if you wanted to take a look at those in detail, look at the world map. A lot of time limit changes, though, and a lot of quantity changes for different items that are required to finish the order. They've lowered the spawn rate of the Merchant Shipwreck Glade event. Construction costs for roads no longer scale with effects, modifiers, and perks. A stone road will always only cost 1 stone, regardless of your difficulty level or any other effects. They've straightened out shuffled around a few of the Citadel upgrades, so that training expeditions are unlocked at Obsidian Archive level 8, and daily expedition unlocks at Obsidian Archive level 10. And stocked caravans has been moved down to Dim Square level 6, and extra merchandise has been moved up to level 10. This next one, I wish they'd provide a little more detail on. But villagers will now move slower when going through buildings. I don't know that I realized they went through buildings. I only really see them going around buildings, but maybe they go through buildings. Either way, now they will go slower when they go through buildings. They re-enabled and rebalanced a few previously disabled cornerstones and forest mysteries. There are about 4 of them. And what they did is those all offered like a timed bonus. So you got, say, +5 to resolve for 2 minutes for solving one of those, or for satisfying one of those. And before, it would add more time whenever you stacked it. So instead of having, so before you could have, say, +5 for like 10 minutes. Now it stacks the bonus, but not the time. So if you turned in 4 of those, you could get a +20 bonus, but only for like 2 minutes. So it's a little bit of a swap. So the one where you open up blades, you don't want to open up blades too fast together because it depends on what you want. But if you want to stack the global resolve, then you want to open up a bunch of blades at the same time. If you want to stretch it out, then you want to open them up more sporadically. So that kind of gives you a little bit of control as to which way you want it to work. So I think that's better. They also removed the food stockpiles reward from the Untamed Wilds world map modifier. Stormforged cornerstones are displayed in the game history tab. So if you're interested in knowing whether you got any Stormforged cornerstones, now you can know. The Decadent attribute now shows a numerical value instead of a tag, which is useful because then you can actually see the scale and see the difference, as opposed to a word that says, more or less decadent. Beyond that, a whole list of bug fixes, and one interesting change. They've made some changes in the save file behind the scenes for settlements, so that now cycle blessings and bonuses will no longer be removed after they force finish a settlement. So if you have some sort of bonus for your next town to do X, and you're in the middle of playing that town and the game updates, and they have to reset your settlement, now you can play that cycle event, that cycle blessing again, rather than losing it because it was already spent on the town that you were forced to finish. Presumably, you don't get any of the rewards from said cycle blessing or bonus for them having completed that settlement, but especially right now, in the middle of an early access game, I think that's nice of them to give us the ability to try again the right way, instead of just getting it for free. To make up for this, you'll be in this update, if you were reset, you will be given a free royal resupply for any forced completed settlement by today's update. So they're kind of paying it back. But beginning in the next update in 2 weeks, you will be just allowed to do the bonus again. That concludes the patch notes. Join me for the series starting immediately tomorrow, Friday, August 18th. And we will do one town in the Coral Forest, smack dab in the middle of a Coral Forest. 2 to 3 episodes like usual. And then we'll be ready to march into the Sealed Forest for the next update in 2 weeks, the Sealed Forest update. Thank you all for joining me. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions in the comments section, or come to my Discord. You can find the link to that in the description below, and let me know there. Thank you all for joining me. I will see you all next time. Bye for now.